Hello everyone, it's your girl Tanya. Welcome to another chapter of Books and Brown Liquor, and this video is my book review of The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Whoa, okay. Okay, this book, I had a lot of mixed feelings, but at the end of the day, I am glad I read it. So I go on like YouTube and look at other people's opinions or like book reviews on Goodreads, Facebook, all that stuff. So on this book, I saw like mixed reviews. Some people were like, I couldn't finish it. It was boring. I couldn't do it. And then some people are like, this book is so good. You have to read this. And I understand both. And here's why. Okay. Stephen Graham Jones, he has a writing style that initially was hard for me to get into. You know, before I get into what the book is about, I will just say that I think it's the rhythm of his writing. He gives you a lot of backstory, a lot of stuff that was unfamiliar to me. So the first half of the book, I did have a hard time, but I'm glad I stuck it out. And anyway, let's get into it. What the hell is the book about, right? So I see this elk. I initially thought it was a deer, but it's like an elk. And gritty and gorgeous. The line that got me, what was it? Oh. A tale of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition. I'll say that again because I'm a little tongue-tied. A tale of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition. So that's what got me. Obviously, I'm a Black woman. I'm not really familiar with Native American culture. This book is heavy with Native American culture. So it says a tale of revenge. Let me see. Seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary. But it says, tracked by an entity bent on revenge. That's what did it for me. That's the line. My bad. Scratch the one before. Tracked by an entity built on revenge. So I was like, yo, an entity? Yeah. Speaking my language. So these four friends, they are Native American men. And one day, I'm trying to be as vague as I can without giving too much away. But one day, they go against tradition and basically break the rules, right? And at first, nothing really happens. Like, okay, we got all these traditions, but like, what's the worst that can happen if we don't follow? If we don't follow what the elders say, what's the worst that can happen? So like I said, reading this book, there's a lot of backstory, and you follow each one of these four men. And try not to say too much, but at first I'm just like, this is kind of weird. Why is there an elk appearing out of nowhere? What's that about? I was confused. I'm like, what does this mean? Is this code for something? I don't get it. But then when you understand the backstory, which of course he doesn't give you right away, like I said, he gives you a lot of backstory and a whole lot of other stuff. So it took a while to get into the rhythm of this story. So the first half of the book, I'm like, this is a lot of information. But nothing is really happening. I don't understand. And then when shit starts happening, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Because when the stuff does start to happen, you understand why. You understand this off-putting, disturbing scenery for what it is, if that makes sense, without giving too much away. So once you read all the backstory, and then you get to the meat and the potatoes of it, you're like, it all makes sense, right? But like I said, I think what throws a lot of people off is because there is so much backstory, because there is so much back information. And then if you are not Native American, some of it is kind of hard to wrap your head around, but I did my best. I love books that are rich with any type of culture. So I love books that are rich in culture and tradition and just different people's ways of life. That is interesting. But like I said, this book is chock full of it. So sometimes it comes across like, okay, whoa, almost like a history lesson. You know what I mean? But like I said, let me get back to it. The first part of the book, it did kind of drag for me. But once you get to the second part of the book and you truly understand what is happening and why, that makes the book worth it for me. I hope that makes sense. I know that was a lot, but I hope that makes sense. Once you understand why this is happening and once you understand what is happening, the second half of the book is more faster paced. And I'm glad I hung in there. I'm not even gonna lie. There were times I put the book down and I was just like, I don't know about this. I don't feel thrilled. Like because it's a thriller, right? I don't feel thrilled. I'm not scared of nothing. But yeah, once you get to the stuff, when the stuff starts happening, you're like, oh shit. So the second half of the book, yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you are reading this book or you're considering reading this book, and the first half of the book is kind of hard to get through, I'm telling you, hang in there. Hang in there, because once you get to the end, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. And so, like I said, I do enjoy books that are rich with culture. And even if it is hard to understand, I do feel like I learned a lot after reading this book, even though it was just entertainment purposes. I actually did like absorb things that I didn't know before. So I was like, okay, that was cool too. Like I said, reading about different cultures. I think that's important. I don't know why, but I think that's important. Anyway, I will give this book like, I'm gonna say a 3.5 because even though it was entertaining, like I said, it was a bit of a history lesson. But I do believe that if you are a person that is familiar with the Native American culture, this book would probably be this book would probably be a lot easier for you to absorb. But for me, I basically felt like I was on the outside watching a movie or something. If you are probably a Native American growing up on the reservation, because they make a lot of jokes about reservation life, and some of it I was like, huh? But like I said, it would probably be easier to absorb if you are familiar with that culture. Anyway, 3.5. I enjoyed it. This book is worth it once you get to the second half. So hang in there. So just some other thoughts I wanted to share on The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This book is real heavy with talking about elders and tradition. And there were examples in here of like how they respect their elders, how they take care of the elders. There was a point where the guy, he said like on the reservation, whenever you hunt, you make sure you pack up meat for the elders. And you make sure the elders get the meat too, just out of respect. So I thought that was really cool because a lot of time in cultures, we don't talk about how important it is to respect our elders. Another thing I liked about this was as Americans, I don't know how traditional we are, so to speak, because America is such a melting pot. But what I liked about this was it kind of talks about the consequences of going against tradition, like rules, traditions, the way of doing things or the old way of doing things exists for a reason. And I think that this book is about for men that felt like, what's the big deal? If we don't follow tradition, what's the big deal? Who's gonna know? And then there are consequences. Very, very big consequences. So this book speaks to, as that's what I got from the book, is this book speaks to how important it is to follow tradition, even if there aren't like consequences like what happened in the book, but it just speaks to the importance of following tradition. So that was something that I really liked because I think in a world of like modern technology and social media, and we're so distracted with everyday life that we don't think twice about going against tradition. We just like live in a world where everybody does what they want, right? We just do what we want. So what? This is how I feel. This is how I feel. This is who I am. But in this book, it's so heavy on tradition. And I liked that part. I really did like that part. Like I said, the consequences were heavy. Okay. But can you imagine if the consequences for breaking tradition were huge for everybody that went against the things that we were taught, the things that we were taught to respect? So anyway, like I said, in a nutshell, this book is about the consequences of breaking tradition. I just wanted to make that clear. I thought that's something that I really took away from this book. So yeah, go against the rules at your own risk. How about that? But anyway, I enjoyed it. I think it's worth the read. And as always, thank you for watching. I wish you good reading. Bye.